I argued in my recent op-ed in Tuesday's Wall Street Journal that Congress refuses to keep commerce regular when the commercial activity is the sale of health insurance policies, but claims it can regulate the taking of a person's temperature or the removal of a person's appendix because that constitutes interstate commerce. What we have in the president's health care proposals is an abuse of federal power by the federal government for political purposes. The president and his colleagues want to reward their supporters with free health care, quote, free health care, that the rest of us will end up paying for. Their only self-acknowledged restraint on their exercise of the Commerce Clause power is whatever they think they can get away with. They are not upholding the Constitution, they're evading it. Joining me now is Dr. Walter Williams, author, syndicated columnist, economics professor at George Mason University. Dr. Williams, welcome to Freedom Watch.
Well, thank you very much.
Yesterday I wrote a piece in the Wall Street Journal, which has gotten some very nice positive and even some nice negative response, whereby the Congress claims that it can use the Commerce Clause to regulate health care. Is there anything even remotely reflective of health care in the powers given by the Constitution to the Congress?
No, absolutely not. And I remember a case, I think it was Lopez versus the United States or something like that, and Justice Scalia asked the Solicitor General at the time, he asked him, was there anything that Congress could not do under the Commerce Clause? And the Solicitor General just could not come up with an answer. I mean, if you use the Commerce Clause, Congress can do anything.
My recollection of having studied James Madison, who, of course, was the scrivener at the Constitutional Convention and who is credited with actually authoring most of the major passages, is that when they gave Congress the power, quote, to regulate interstate commerce, close quote, by to regulate, they meant to keep regular.
That's right.
To make sure that the states did not impose tariffs or absolute barriers to the importation of goods and services from out of state.
That is absolutely right. That they actually, the Commerce Clause is a free trade clause.
And yet the Congress has used the words to regulate to claim for itself the power to control almost anything, such that the Solicitor General couldn't even think of something, as you suggested, when Justice Scalia questioned him, that would be outside the scope of the Commerce Clause.
That is absolutely right. So, and the framers did not intend for the federal government to have that much power. Kind of going back to Madison, if you read Federalist Paper 45, when Madison was trying to explain to the Americans what is in the Constitution, and in Federalist Paper 45, he says that the powers delegated to the federal government are few and well-defined and restricted mostly to external affairs, and those left for the people in states are indefinite and numerous. If you turn that upside down, you'd have what we have today.
Here is an area where the Congress has not kept commerce regular, and that's in the interstate sale of health insurance. They have allowed, so this is crazy when you think of it, because they want almost everything to go from state to state as long as they can control it. But they've allowed all 50 states to prevent health insurance carriers from out of state from selling health insurance in state. How do they get away with that?
Well, I think that the health insurance people have a big lobby, and they're able to buy off congressmen to keep the Congress, to keep trade between states restricted.
How expensive does the president claim that his universal health care will be, and how expensive will it really be? And what did they claim Medicare would cost, and what does it actually cost us?
Well, I think that if you look back and they claim it's going to be between $50 and $65 billion, and any prediction that Congress would make in terms of the cost of a program has to be taken with a grain of salt, or has to be deemed as a lie. When Medicare started out in 1966, it cost $3 billion, and the House and Ways and Means Committee, as well as President Johnson, said by 1990 it won't be $12 billion. But in 1990 it was $107 billion, and today it's $450 billion, and no sign of going down the tubes. These people are lying. That is, if Americans knew the true cost of Medicare in 1966, that might not have gone through at all.
Unbelievable. Professor Williams, it's always a pleasure. Thanks for joining us on Freedom Watch.
And thank you.
You're welcome.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. You can catch today's show on foxnews.com/freedomwatch. And until the next time, stay free.